What is going on, guys? And today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on the plugin called FactionMobs. So you guys asked me to do a tutorial on this from the top 3 factions plugins 3, and here I am. So I'm going to bring you a tutorial on this, one of the best faction plugins out there. It just adds a whole new aspect to factions. So it's really simple to set this up for your players. Of course, you're going to need factions and MassiveCore. Those two plugins are required for factions to even work, so make sure you have those. And besides that, download FactionMobs in the description. Drop any plugin that you downloaded from the description, drop it in your plugins folder, and then restart your server. So before we get started, you should know that there are 4 mob types. One's a swordsman, one's an archer, one's a mage, and one's a titan. And you can set in the config that your players will lose power by purchasing or spawning a mob. So that's really important because you don't want your players with no power just to be spawning unlimited amount of mobs. That would be OP. So with that being said, let's go ahead and head into the config first. Alright, so inside the FactionMobs folder, go into the config.yml. So you can set the spawn limit, how many mobs they can possibly spawn. 60 is what it's on. Attack mobs, and also you guys should know, any other faction that is an ally, your mobs will never attack. If they're neutral, then they'll just defend if they're being attacked. And if they're hostile, like an enemy faction, then they'll always attack. And sometimes your faction mobs might miss, so it might be important to have friendly fire. False. Well, true, because it says no friendly fire. But you can also set them to attack mobs or not. And then here we have the minimum rank that is allowed to spawn these mobs, which is a member. Only spawn in territory. They can't spawn them in the wilderness or anything like that. And then we have alert allies. Just some of this stuff you can do it yourself. It's pretty self-explanatory, easy stuff. And then some important features that they're allowed to do is patrol from one point to the other, so you can change their patrol speed and their speed as it is. And then you will want to have this on true so your players can spawn the mobs in. And then here you can customize their own settings, like the archer settings, the mage settings, and yeah. So that's pretty much it for the config. Now let's go ahead and hop on our server. Also, very important that you set the power cost, because you don't want them to spawn these for free. Make sure you change that, and yeah, let's head on to the server. Alright, so as you guys can see, I already have one mob in my faction, and that's an archer. So there we go. We're in our own claimed area, and he's patrolling from one point to another. You can set that, and I'll show you also how to change the dye of his armor. That might be kind of important. And yeah, so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you guys all the different things that you can make them do. But yeah, let's go ahead and spawn another mob in. So let's go ahead and spawn in a mage. So /fm spawn is the command, and then you type the class. So I'm going to type in a mage, and it just took 10 of our power. I think it took 10 of our power, yeah. And then there we go. So now Team Uno Mage. Awesome. So if you want to select them to be able to tell them commands like patrol here and stuff like that, you got to right click on them. You can also see their info by selecting them. So now we can actually tell him what to do. And then to command him to do something, you have to type /fm order and then the actual order. So you can go follow, stop, go home, set home, which obviously we'll have to set home to tell him to go home, patrol here, move to point, and then forgive. And I'll show you guys all of these. Let's go ahead and type follow. And I completely butchered that. Alright. Oh, alright, there we go. Follow. And now he's following me. So pretty sweet. Alright, he's a little bit slow with the reaction time, but no problem. He, overall he's following us. So, oh, where are you going? Alright, there we go. So let's go ahead and tell him to stop now. So /fm order stop. So stop right here. Oh gosh. Alright, so I moved him around a little bit. Now I'm going to show you guys this next command, or this next order. So move to point. That one will make them move to where you're pointing at. So if I'm pointing right here, he'll move right here. So let's go ahead and test this out. So I'm going to go ahead and point where I want him to stand, and I'm going to type /fm order and then move to point and hit enter. Now he's going to make his way to where I'm pointing at. And then there we go. He's a little bit off, but that's okay. He's not the smartest guy, as you guys can see. Alright, so now we want to order him to stop, because if we move where we're pointing at, then he's just going to follow it. So we're going to have to tell him to stop, and there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have to set his home. So his home point, let's make it somewhere relatively close to our base. I guess right here. I don't really have a base right now, but yeah. So let's go ahead and type /fm order and then set home. There we go. So that's his new home, and he's making his way towards his home. And we can also tell him to go there by /fm order and then go home. But that's together. Go home, one word. There we go. And now the next thing is to make a mob patrol. So they're going to patrol between the home point and then the point that you're standing at. So wherever you want them to patrol, if they're at their home right now and you're standing at that point, then they're going to patrol between those 2 points. So let's go ahead and type /fm order and then patrol here. So in between their home and where we're standing at, and hit enter. So there we go. Now he's patrolling from that location to that spot right there. Pretty awesome. Of course, you can also change their speed in the config. The last order, it's not really a big deal, but if there's a neutral faction to your faction, then they're not going to attack them unless they're being attacked. They're just going to defend themselves, actually. So if somehow a neutral faction member hits them, then they won't actually attack, they'll just defend themselves. So if the case were that a neutral faction member hit your mobs and then they started getting attacked, you can tell them to stop attacking them by typing /fm order forgive, and that will just tell them to automatically stop. Of course, they're not attacking anyone right now, so I can't really show you. And yeah, so that's basically it. I'll show you guys the actually /fm spawn titan. Okay, I'm not in my territory right now. Let's go ahead and head over there. There we go. Alright, so /fm spawn titan. That's what the titan looks like. Of course, he can't wear armor. And then the last one is, what is the last one? Swordsman, right? Yeah. There we go. So that's pretty cool. Now we can set a color with /fm color. And then this is the hard part. So /fm color, and then we're going to type the numbers in RGB. So RRGGBB. We're going to have to set that format. So I don't really know that stuff. I'm just going to type in random numbers, see what happens. Okay, so that color popped up, and I'm okay with that. And, you know, dark army green, pretty cool. So that is how you set your faction color, and that is pretty much it. Based on your allies and enemies, faction mobs will do the rest. We pretty much went over everything, so hopefully you guys did enjoy this tutorial. If you did, make sure to drop a like, subscribe for more plugin tutorials, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.